Welcome everybody. So this is the first video that I'm doing for the JVH investment group that I have started in Discord. I am JVH. So we got a question today that is asking specifically from one of our users, Ali Being, saying that the thing that most resonates for me right now is ensuring that I have structure in place to save consistently every month. It doesn't have to be much, just needs to be something. So again, Al, I really appreciate the question. I think it's a great one. I think it's something that probably most people ask themselves or struggle with, right? So what is the problem, right? You are making income, right? If we're fortunate enough in these times to actually have a job, you're getting some form of income, and you have all of these bills or expenses that you have to pay. A lot of times it's a struggle to understand, will I be able to put anything away? Will I be able to, save for a rainy day, save for a vacation, save for, gifts or whatever other events are coming up in your life? I have to pay these bills. Do I have enough income to pay the bills and have some to set aside? That is really a large struggle. It seems simple enough, but it's a really big struggle that people have nowadays. And what I'm hoping to do from this video is give you the resources and the knowledge to help you not make that as stressful of a process for you, and also help you understand some concepts that will help you understand how to better manage your money as well, and maybe not make it as overwhelming as it sometimes can be. So first, what we're going to do is we are going to put a list together, okay? And what we're going to do is, for this list, we're going to actually put two lists together. We're going to do actually, let me make that a little bit smaller in font. We're going to do a resource list, and I apologize, my handwriting is atrocious. We're going to do a resource list, and then we're going to do a terms list. All right, so resources and terms. And the first term that we're going to talk about is income. Okay? Income is exactly as it sounds. It's the money that you are bringing in, whether it's a paycheck from your job, whether it is tips that you receive, whether it is maybe external money that's coming in from maybe child support or alimony or other forms of income that's not related to your job. All of that is considered income. It's money given to you for typically services. The other term that we're going to talk about are expenses. Now, expenses are the exact opposite of income. It's the money that you need to give for services or utilities or things that you are consuming that you need to pay for. And there are two types of expenses. The first that we're going to focus on today is fixed expenses. And then the other one is variable expenses. So fixed expenses are typically your bills that occur every month. It's a consistent amount of money that you need to pay on a consistently frequent basis. So for example, rent. If rent is the same every single month, or your mortgage is the same every single month, that is a fixed expense. Your electric bill, typically, if it's the same amount every single month, that is a fixed expense. Now, there are some expenses that could be fixed or variable if it is something like an electric bill or a utility, gas, water, what have you. my recommendation is contact your supplier and see if they can put you on a budget for that particular service. So if you're going through your electric company, give them a call, see if they can put you on a budget. Typically, they just look at it every 3 months, every 6 months, every 9 months, every 12 months, and see if they need to increase the budget or lower the budget based on your consumption. But again, we want to try to get as many of our expenses to be from variable expenses that change all the time to as fixed as possible so you can better manage those expenses. Variable expenses are money that's coming out of your pocket that changes all the time. The amount changes, the frequency changes, right? So maybe you go out to dinner. Obviously, the bill's going to be different every single time you go out. Maybe you go out, once a month or once a week. It could change depending on how much you've earned that pay period. Other variable expenses could be groceries, right? So maybe you go grocery shopping once a week. Maybe you go every other week. Maybe it depends on what you're buying and who you're buying for. Maybe it's $50 a week sometimes, and maybe it's $100 a week other times, right? They're variable expenses. If you are able to try to get that variable expense into a fixed expense, try to do that as well. Today, what we are going to focus on is just fixed expenses and income. Okay? So what we'll do is I have put together a Google Sheets spreadsheet. Now, Google Sheets is really a great resource. It is free if you are familiar with Excel or even Word or other Office applications. Google has a suite just like that. It's Google Sheets for Excel, Google Docs is Word, and Google Slides is PowerPoint. You can convert, if you have Excel spreadsheets or Word documents, you can convert them to Google Docs very easily and seamlessly. And again, Google Docs and spreadsheets are all free, so it's a free resource. All you have to do is have a Google account, and all of the docs that you create are saved to your Google Drive, and they do not take up any space in your Google Drive. So that'll be our first resource that we're going to add here to the list. Yes, I want to use blue. So we're going to say Google Docs and Sheets. All right. Jumping back to the spreadsheet that I've created. Now, this spreadsheet really focuses on calculating your fixed expenses and understanding what the delta or the difference is between your fixed expenses and your income. So as you can see here, I've created a list of different fixed expenses, such as rent and mortgage, $1,000 per month. Water and sewer is $100, maybe every quarter. Gas and electric, $50, $200, respectively, every quarter, every month. So it's really important to list out as many and all of your fixed expenses as possible, and their amounts, and then the frequency at which they have to be paid, in order to really calculate how much you would need to set aside from your paychecks or your income. The next thing you want to do is up here in the income per month, you want to put in here how much income you receive every single month. Now, for our purposes, we're going to say $3,000 every single month. Now, that could be a combination of paychecks. It could be other sources of income. Make sure that you account for as many sources of income as possible that come in on a regular basis. Typically, you want to stick with things like your paychecks, something that's consistently coming in, and as in the same type of frequency. Next thing you want to do is you want to select how frequently you were paid. So what is your pay period? Are you paid weekly? Are you paid bi-weekly, which is every other week? Or are you paid twice a month, maybe on the 15th and the last day of the month? So for our purposes here in this example, I'm going to choose 2XM, which is twice a month. Oh, I'm sorry, twice a month. So what this is doing is it's then going to take your expenses, right? So anything that's here as a monthly expense, it's adding that to your fixed income total. Your fixed expense total. Anything that's listed out with a Q that's paid quarterly, it's taking that amount and dividing it by 3, because there's 3 months in a quarter, and that is how we're calculating your fixed expense total per month. So here you can see you're making $3,000 a month. Your fixed income expense, or I'm sorry, your fixed expenses total per month is $1,925. If this amount in this cell is ever more than this amount here, you're going to want to try and modify your expenses. You want to try to lower them as much as possible, because you want to make sure that your fixed expenses are at least lower than your income. What that's going to do is down here, your savings each month, right? It's taking that $3,000, subtracting the fixed total expenses per month, and you're arriving at $1,075 every month is what is left. We're going to call that our savings each month. Now, the two other fields that are going to be key here, right, to really understanding and really creating a consistent basis of which you are setting funds aside and growing your savings at whatever frequency your goal is, are these two fields here, B6 and B8. I say B because this is column B and this is line 6, row 6 and row 8. If for whatever reason you go from, if you're not getting paid 2 times a month, maybe you're getting paid bi-weekly, you can see the savings and the fixed expenses per month still stay the same, but now this amount and this amount have changed, and I'll explain why. So this amount here on B6 is the amount to set aside each pay period. So if you are paid bi-weekly, right, this is the amount out of every paycheck that you are paid, you are going to have to set aside for expenses. And what this does is this takes your fixed expenses per month, which is the calculation down here, and it's dividing it by, it's multiplying it by 12, because there's 12 months in the year, and then dividing it by 26, because if you're paid bi-weekly, that means every other week. There's 52 weeks in a year, hence you're paid 26 times a year. So it takes the expenses per month, multiplies it by 12, divides it by 26. So now you're arriving at $886.46 every single pay period needs to come out of your paycheck. Now, this seems like it may sound, confusing, and that's perfectly okay. My recommendation, when you get to this point and you know how much you need to set aside each paycheck, I would recommend opening up a different savings account, possibly with your bank, if they allow you to do that. Especially ones where there's $0, there's no minimum dollar amount required. You'll even start earning interest if you open a savings account and start putting this in every paycheck. So I definitely recommend taking what is, the amount that is needed out of each paycheck to put towards your fixed expenses every month, put that into a savings account. Once you do that, now you can see your savings each pay period is $496.15. Now, if you are paid twice a month, let's just change that. Now you can see that this amount and this amount has changed, right? Now you're paid 24 times a year, right? Twice a month, 12 months times twice a month is 24. So it's taking your fixed expenses, multiplying it by 12, dividing by 24 now. Now every paycheck you have to take out $962.50, and you are left with $537.50. If you're confused, that's okay. That's not a problem. This will make sense. So now what we can do is, now that we know how much savings we are going to have, we know how much income we have, we know how much our fixed expenses are, now we know how much we're going to have left over, what we're going to call our savings, every single pay period and even every single month. Now you can set a goal, right? So in our example here, we know that we're going to have $1,075 every single month available, and that's left over after we've taken care of all of our fixed expenses. Now, of that $1,075, that may change every month. right? Because you may have different variable expenses, right? So maybe you have to pay for your groceries, maybe you have things come up that you weren't expecting, and that's okay. The idea here is you have a nice, almost consistent number that you can sit there and figure out, well, what do I want to take out of this number, this 1,075, every single month to put towards savings. We'll call that our long-term savings, our rainy day fund, right? So now, once you take that amount out, let's just say you want to do $50 a month, right? Now you have $1,025 every single month for other expenses. You've already contributed that $50 that you committed to as part of your goal. You've already committed that to your rainy day fund, your long-term savings, and now you know how much money you have left over to play with. So let's jump back over to the iPad. And one of the other resources that I want to talk about other than this spreadsheet, and again, I will put the link to the spreadsheet in the description of this video so you will have that. One thing actually I do want to mention, when you click on the link to the spreadsheet, the first thing you're going to want to do is go to File, Make a Copy. I get people all the time that I create spreadsheets for, they ask me, I can't edit it. I share the link with them. They can't edit. They can't make changes. It's because it's still on my Google Drive. You need to go File, Make a Copy, and that will put a separate copy that you can play with on your own Google Drive. Okay, so jumping back to our iPad here, we have our terms that we've gone over, right? We talked about the spreadsheet. I will provide the link to the in the description. Our resources, another resource that I want to go over with you. Actually, we'll use green for this. Mint.com. Right, so now you've figured out your salary or your income, your fixed expenses, and now you know how much you're going to have to take out of each paycheck to put towards those fixed expenses, and then how much is left over in your rainy day fund. Now you can actually go in and start and create a Mint.com account. Now, Mint.com is something that I've been using for over 15 years. It's free. It's made by the company Intuit, who also does TurboTax. So there's some integrations there if you do your taxes through TurboTax. Mint.com also has integrations with different financial institutions. So your bank, if your bank is online, most likely they're on Mint.com. Your credit card companies, your car loans, if they are all paid online or available online, they will have integrations with Mint.com as well. Being a free service, this is incredibly great because it imports all of your line items, all of your expenses, your fixed expenses, your variable expenses, all of your different income sources, and it categorizes them for you. So now you can actually take a look and see what expenses you have each month, because it categorizes it for you so that you can see what you're spending it on, and you can actually identify to see if those expenses that are coming in through Mint.com, or all of your credit cards, everything's being centralized, seeing if they are more or less than that savings each month that you've calculated in your fixed expenses calculator. If your expenses are more than that 1,075, or whatever your specific number is, you know that you need to make some changes to figure out how to reduce your fixed expenses. If it's not as much, that's great. Now you can actually go into Mint.com and you can create a goal for yourself that every single month or every single pay period, whatever frequency you're comfortable with, setting that money aside, putting it into your long-term savings account to create that rainy day fund, or start actually building that up to maybe put towards emergency funds, appliances that may have gone bad, vacations that you want to take, right? So now you know how much per month or per paycheck you can set aside, and then you also have all of the extra money for your variable expenses to go along with that. So just to recap, we have our terms. We've gone over what income is, what our expenses are, fixed versus variable. We utilize the income and fixed dollar amounts to populate our fixed expenses calculator, which I will provide a link to in the description. We've also gone over how Google Docs and Sheets is a great resource for putting things like this together, these workbooks for you to keep track of things. And then also, if you want to start really categorizing things and really keeping track of your personal finances and money management, utilize a great free resource like Mint.com. I'm hoping I'm not forgetting anything. I'm hoping that answers your question now. If it doesn't, or if you want to follow up, please put your comments in the comment section of this video. Or I'm also going to provide a link in the description to our Discord group. If you'd like to join the Discord group and get more resources, more information, feel free. You can ask questions there, and I'll try to answer them as many questions as possible. Again, I really do appreciate everybody. You've been great. The questions are great. The participation in the Discord group has been awesome. So I hope this has been helpful for you. Again, keep track of those terms, learn those terms, keep track of the resources. I'll put all the links in the description below, and that's it. That's it for now. I will see you next time. Thank you.